we're live. It's happening again. Part 3 of the Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Our journey through walking through the game. And we're picking back up where we left off. Now, I have a couple of things that we need to get through, some housekeeping notes. So part of the reason why yesterday was so disastrous, and you notice I don't have headphones on, because I see on OBS that we are streaming, and that you can see, or at least the bar is acknowledging that we're getting audio in the game, so hopefully you have audio in the game. If you watch this later on, probably no one's watching right now. But if someone is, let me know if you can hear audio in the game. You should. I also realized that I reversed, inadvertently, my controls. So that's why I was having such a struggle bus time getting through this game yesterday. So I was like, why do I keep jumping? What is going on? Have I confused myself? What am I doing? Am I just really, really tired? What's up? And it just turns out that I mixed up the controls. The other thing is, for years now, since 2017, when Breath of the Wild came out, we've called it Legends, plural, of Zelda, so I'm going to try to call it Legend of Zelda, and I'm fending off a bad guy before you can see it. I called it Legend of Zelda, Legends of Zelda, rather, and so I'm going to try to remember to call it singular Legend, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, but I can't make any promises in that arena. I am exhausted, but I promised myself that I was going to get to part 3. We're going to talk about Bitcoin, and I'll probably pick this up in the next version of this, part 4, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. The idea is that I walk through Legend of Zelda, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, excuse me, and we get that. You can see I'm really, really tired. And I also talk about something that's important to all of us, which in this case is Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. All right, so let's get back into the game. I'm going to go back to OBS and get us all settled here so you can see the game, and hopefully you can hear it too. We'll find out in the morning, and hopefully also at some point I'm going to do one of these during the morning hours, which would be great. Somehow I flipped myself. Awesome. Stand by, please. I'm going to try to flip myself back around. Haha, OBS, you can't defeat me. Figured it out. Okay. Alright, now I think we're cooking with grease. Okay, so here we are. We are trying to get to the last shrine so that we can open the door. We were able to get inside of the shrine where, on our quest to find Zelda. You can see what we're working on here. Go back to our shrine quest to see where we are. The adventure log, find Princess Zelda. So that's obviously the primary objective of the game, and we are at the point where Raru has led us into the main shrine, but we need one more light of blessing to be able to move forward in this game. So that's what we're working on. That's the final shrine. You can see where I am. I'm the little triangle there to the left of the screen, and on the right of the screen is that flashing circle. That's where we want to go. So this is what we know we need to do. This was driving me nuts yesterday. Also because everything went reversed. Hopefully we can figure it out. And as I am building this, we can talk a little bit about Bitcoin, because now I should have everything in order, and I can jump and do all the stuff that I'm accustomed to properly. It was the X and the B keys that I had reversed, so for all you Legends fans, you'll know exactly what that means. Basically, I was jumping when I should have been letting go, and I was letting go when I should have been jumping, so I was falling a lot, and I was tired, and it just wasn't working out. Okay, so we're gonna try to climb this area, which I think is what, the fact that these are available to us pretty much means that this is what the game wants us to do. It's tricky with this Ultra Hand, which is the feature I'm using, because it's somewhat difficult, believe it or not, to get to any object that's not really close at hand, which is different than some of the other special features we had via the Core Pad, which is really just an in-game switch in Breath of the Wild. So let's see if we can figure this out. Should probably go back to YouTube. Nobody's watching because everybody's asleep. Everyone's getting ready for work tomorrow. If a tree falls in Zelda and nobody's listening, did it actually make a noise? I feel like that, talking to myself with no people watching as of now. Oh boy. But that's okay. I've made a promise to do a little bit, to post something every day, and I'm gonna do it. Okay. Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is the product of Satoshi Nakamoto. Either one person or two people or three people or a group of people who created this immutable ledger, a blockchain, which wasn't new, actually. There were blockchains. I think the New York Times, interestingly, had the first blockchain ever for a crossword puzzle, which is, again, an immutable ledger, which basically means that it's a way of recording transactions, and it's completely transparent. Everyone can see. The only point at which it's not necessarily transparent, although in the case of Bitcoin it is the time that the data is entered originally. Now, the idea or the allure of blockchain is this notion that, you know, there's no need for third-party trust. All you need is someone to participate in the system, any person to participate in the system, and we don't have to trust that person because we know that they so close. All right, we're very, very close. Should I do another one of these or just try to climb again? Let's do one more. That'll get us. This was taking me forever yesterday, and imagine now it's like the easiest thing to do. Isn't that beautiful? Okay. Let's see. Come on down. Come on down, please. We can do that now because we don't need to reorder the one that's beneath it. I need to stop mumbling, I've realized. We made it in a matter of minutes, which is lovely. Let's see how close I am to this flashing dot. Oh, so close. I think we might actually meet the 30-minute to 45-minute time limit I set internally to get down to the ground in the main level and do a little play down there and move on to part 4. Here's another Zonai device dispenser, is what I'm calling it. Basically a place where you've got the Zonai device and she's giving you what you need. Now it's showing me that the new shrine should be like right about here, but I don't see it. So it's either higher up, which would be way up there, or it's below me. Now, here's a really interesting, I guess it's not that interesting, but it's kind of interesting. It's very subtle. So there are 3 maps that lay on top of each other. We're going to find that out, and I hope that I'm not spoiling anything for you, but I don't think so, because it's just a practical matter. If you look at this map, there are various gradients of color. So you can see that's a little darker. This is a little lighter, so that represents higher elevation in the game. It's not perfect because obviously, we're very high up, but we don't know where the shrine is exactly. I wonder if it's right above me. We tried that, though. So getting to this shrine is a little bit tricky. So we can see from the map, this is where we should be. Right, literally, right on top of it, right here. But we don't see a shrine. So that shrine is either above us, let's see, and it could be. We have a couple of archipelagos above us, or it is beneath us. The question is which one. And honestly, I don't know. Now, I said this in part 1 that I've done this before, and I had absolutely zero problems reaching this shrine the first time, so I don't know what the issue is this time around. But I'm gonna find it. Try a Zonai device. Why not? Let's try a wing and see what we can figure out. Zonai devices you can only use once. I also said this in part 1, but it's a good reminder. Once you take it out, you're done with it. This could get a little tricky. What we might need to do is use one of these fans. Use our ultra hand. Place it. See if we can get us off the ground. Oh. I catch it? Nope. Jump to my death. So while that's loading, let's answer the question, why would a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, which requires no third-party trust, be attractive? Well, because there are a lot of people in the world who are unbanked. We need to talk to Robert and see if he's... Oh my goodness, did it put us way back when? Did we lose all of our effort we woke to the sound of the bell? This is I'm talking about the bell you hear, that hopefully you can hear. Yeah, it backed us way up. So, for that reason, since we're here anyway, we might as well take one of these wings and see if we can see what's going on. This seems a little bit crazy. Let's see if we can ride this to a place that helps us understand what is up to get to our next location. Here we go. Alright, so I need that anymore because it's gold now, so go along. Maybe this does solve our problem because we're going underneath. Oh, look at this. Discovery. I think so. excavated resources can be transported from here. Huh. So the Stewart construct there just described what I was explaining. That you can't pull them back out once you've deployed them. Now I'm going to use one of these bright blooms, which will help light your way, which I'm assuming I can just throw down. Huh. No. We might need to fire them, so let's try using fuse and putting it on the edge, which is what I did before because I've had some experience in this game. Yep, you gotta fire them or maybe hit them. So let's see what these are. These are kind of cool. We're gonna need to fuse some stuff to get there. I found a new way of connecting these things a little kind of funky. I found the ease of use of the last system of our special powers a lot easier than this time around, but oh well. So this is all Zonite. So now we can only see this one for Zonite stuff instead of traditional gems. I think it's interesting that it forms in gem spaces, but that's cool. Cool. It's all game logic. Let's see what he's got to say to us. While he might explain these details, I think we're going to move on. I did not go through this process the first time around, so I'm thinking it's not all that necessary. Let's throw bright bloom in there to see what's behind here. Nothing of significance. And the same with his own eye materials. Once you deploy them, you cannot redeploy them. I think we're good to just keep on moving on towards our quarry. His own eye material here for us to collect. And I'm sorry I got distracted. We're talking about the utility of an immutable ledger like Bitcoin. The idea would be that you would be able to bank the unbanked. So people who can't afford or to put their money in a bank, they would be able to easily send and store money and value, which you know, Bitcoin does, because you can put your money or your fiat currency, which is currency that it is guaranteed by the government, a sovereign government, nation, I should say, in which it's deployed through the treasury. So for us, it's obviously the dollar, and for a lot of people, you know, it is whatever their currency is, obviously. Look at this. There's one already there for me. See what's going on. Look at that. That looks suspiciously important. I'm getting away from it, but I think if I can use ascend here, I will find myself right where I need to be. I'm hoping that anyway. Is there anything else we need? Or are we just going in a circle? Looks like we're going in a circle. Alright, let's try Ultra Hand. Or Ascend. I call everything Ultra Hand. Come on, Hill. When you find these, you just can use them. You can't, like, store them, which I find sort of strange. But, it's a way for you to basically send money. Now, the problem is Bitcoin is a very expensive blockchain to use. So, there are what are called gas fees. So, the idea is that this blockchain requires maintenance by a number of people who basically make their livings off of the fees for transactions. For Bitcoin and Ethereum, the transaction fees are astronomical, frankly. I've actually tried this in practice, not with Bitcoin, but with Ethereum. I actually hold my Bitcoin through an exchange. There's only one exchange I trust, and you know, that exchange shall remain nameless because I'm not here to push an exchange. We saw what happened with FTX. I thought FTX would probably be okay. I did not have any money invested in FTX, and Sam Bankman-Fried is someone we should talk about. We saw the collapse of that cryptocurrency exchange. Very important to note, you cannot conflate what happened with Sam Bankman-Fried to and with the cryptocurrency industry. They are completely separate. What happened with Sam Bankman-Fried is the traditional financial corruption story. It is not at all in any way an example of problems or issues with cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, you can hold without having it in on an exchange. You can just have it in your cold wallet or an active wallet that's linked to the internet. All of this, where you basically hold your keys, the long string of numbers and letters that indicates you hold a certain Bitcoin. I'm not going to make it. I don't think I'm so close, but I am going to just jump down. Let's see if there's a way to get up there a little easier. Those look like bad guys. If I defeat them, I get some stuff. So, but yeah, I didn't get caught up in the FTX scam because, one, I think cryptocurrency exchanges that are located in the United States, and FTX was not in the United States, it was in the Bahamas. You know, Coinbase, for example, Kraken, those are all United States-based cryptocurrencies, and that is substantial and very important in understanding what's going on. So we're kind of back where we started, so that did not help. Yeah, this is tricky. This is a really tricky one. Shrine. It was super easy the first time I did it, as I recall. Let's kill these bad guys. Maybe it's below. It looks like it's high up, but maybe it's below. Let's see if we can get these guys to sing our tune. It's the bad guys once you get down to the mainland. So Sam Bankman-Fried's empire was built outside of the United States, even though he is clearly an American. The product of two Stanford trained attorneys, I want to say. I think they might have been professors there. Maybe not trained, maybe professors there. Don't quote me on that. I'm just remembering that they are linked to Stanford. Really smart people. He went to MIT. I think he has a physics degree from MIT. So, you know, all of the story, sort of like the case of Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos, the story was very good. But, you know, the basics weren't there. The balance sheets weren't there. And there was this incestuous relationship between FTX and Alameda Research. And this FTT token, which he just basically created out of nowhere. But Bitcoin is interesting because Satoshi Nakamoto, that person or group that created Bitcoin, the original Bitcoin has not moved. And I think it dates back to 2013, so 10 years now. And it's entirely decentralized, entirely, the only cryptocurrency that is. So it's not going to be classified, all of the things we've seen from Gary Gensler, it's not going to be classified as a security. It's a truly decentralized financial product, let's call it that. And has a lot of value for a lot of people, including me. Now, if you picked up Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has slipped a little, I think it's like 26,700 or something as of May 22nd in the early morning hours. But if you picked up Bitcoin when it hit the lows of, and I posted about it, like close to $1,700, just below $1,700, you're up about 58, 59%. Now, if you chose to pick up Bitcoin at that time and sold it when Bitcoin was peaking close to 30, you know, you nearly doubled your money. That did better than the NASDAQ, the S&P, the Tesla, some of the tech stocks, Apple, Google, etc. I mean, I ran the numbers on this. It did extraordinarily well. Much better than all those stocks. And funds. Oh, excuse me. It's late. So, you know, Satoshi Nakamoto, and I do believe in true benevolence. I think people can be benevolent, and I think Satoshi Nakamoto, person or people, was. I think that there isn't this mass scheme to make Bitcoin all powerful and then cash it out and become the richest person in the world. I think that would have happened a long time ago, because the holdings that Satoshi Nakamoto has would have made him or her or a group of people, they, in the plural form, very, very powerful, wealthy people by this juncture. So I don't think that's going to happen. Totally decentralized, you know, a tool that allows people to, again, buy a percentage of a Bitcoin, and you can buy any percentage of a Bitcoin because it's divisible infinitely, virtually infinitely. You can send money, and I think once we figure out how to do that at a cheaper price, some of the ZK roll-ups and other financial products that might make Bitcoin more accessible, you know, I think you just can't hold back the tide. Why would you bank? Why would you put your money in a bank with all the banking issues we've seen in traditional markets when you can custody your own money? I mean, and that's really what it's about. It's about having access to your own money. And here's the other thing, because Bitcoin is finite, the question of inflation is something you don't really have to worry about. It's totally held by the people. It is truly a people's currency. And it is a true currency, and it is also a store of value. It's not used as a currency much because it's hard to transfer. And let me tell you something, at this point, being honest, I probably would not choose to use Bitcoin as a currency at this juncture, but I think there are a lot of solutions being worked out to be able to get to that point where it actually can be easily transmitted. But for now, as a store of value, it's a dream. It's one of the best investments I've ever made. Now, there are other more speculative cryptocurrencies, and I'm not going to at all name any of them. A lot of these people who do price predictions. No, I have zero shade on that, but for me, it's just not, it's not an important part of my understanding of cryptocurrency. I have taken some bets on some more speculative assets, but I wouldn't name them because I don't think it's very responsible. And none of those assets are nearly as decentralized as Bitcoin. But I think gaming, for example, if you see, what happened with Axie Infinity, which is not a very good game. I've tried playing it. It is terrible. Frankly, I can't say anything about it. It's just not a fun game. But there are a bunch of people who, for a period of time, and I think probably still are, made their money by just playing Axie Infinity. So why would you play a game? Like, if I could play this game and earn money, wouldn't you want to do that? That makes a lot of sense. So I think that's coming. I think it's inevitable, and so that's a bet that a lot of people have made. It's one, frankly, I've made. Why not? There we go. That is cool. How cool would that be? Eek! So there are a lot of use cases for Bitcoin in a perfect world, and even not. I mean, even if you're not... and remember that the principle of Bitcoin has spawned, of a blockchain, of an immutable ledger, has spawned a ledger, rather. Lots of cryptocurrencies like stablecoins, which really actually do function in the way that Bitcoin was intended to function. They're a one-to-one. They usually... mimic the US dollar. I hold stable coins, and they're very easy and cheap to transmit, not always on the Ethereum blockchain, but on other blockchains that are cheaper, like, even though Solana's had a lot of problems, Solana, Phantom, other places where you can. And if you want to go with a centralized exchange, it's very cheap to hold your money in USD or some other kind of stable coin. And a lot of people are doing that now, where it's cheaper to bank. And frankly, there are people who are banking and conducting transactions in Bitcoin as well, where it's cheaper, instead of using exchange rates to buy something in one fiat currency and then transfer it to another, convert it to another fiat currency. So Bitcoin is being effectively used in other places. It's just for us as Americans, and using the dollar, it's not that cost effective at this current time. But again, a lot of current cryptocurrencies built off the concept of Bitcoin are incredibly easy to use and cheap to use. I've also done that. I've worked in USDC, buying certain things, NFTs, non-fungible tokens, which is, just art that I hold. And it may go up in value, it may not, but it's just beautiful art that I love. Non-fungible tokens versus fungible tokens. Fungible tokens are things that are like the dollar. $1 is the same as another dollar. They're interchangeable. Non-fungible tokens have a unique identity. So even if you buy a piece of artwork and all of the art looks the same, your piece of art will have, a number or ID, 1000 and A, or 1000 and B, or 1000 and C. You get the idea. So these are supposed to be unique things, they're not interchangeable, even if they may appear so externally. So, let's see. We've been going for 35 minutes. My idea was to do 30 to 45. I'm trying so hard to stick to that. This looks like a terribly hard bad guy, this guy over here. So, the question is, if we're wanting to go there... Let's see, where are we? That's where my new... I think it's up there somewhere. I think it's in one of those archipelagos. And I don't want to go back here, but I really think this may be my only choice. I think I need to go back to the Room of Awakening and try again. So we're going back. Now, when people talk about the fact that Bitcoin is real, it doesn't represent anything substantial. That's true of Bitcoin. And again, Bitcoin is probably the safest place to be. I would recommend Ben Cohen if you're looking for price analyses of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of the major cryptocurrencies. I think he's probably a really good person to just get an understanding of the price action. I'm not going to do that. It's not my expertise, and anything that I do, I acknowledge that it's speculative, but it's speculative in the same way that really any stock is speculative. Now, if you take the assumption that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are basically going to follow tech stocks, which they mostly have over the past 3 to 4 years, you know that they're just over time going to increase. You just want to get a good price and kind of watch it ride. That's what we've done. Me and my husband, and it's worked out pretty well. Now, when people say, all right, well, Bitcoin doesn't really do anything, sort of, and sort of not. Like, yes, Bitcoin in and of itself is just a store of value, but we all agree that, for example, fiat currency, like the dollar, is a store of value. The dollar isn't anything. We just decided that it is. That's the same thing with Bitcoin, and enough people have bought into it over the last 10 years, and because it can't be inflated like the dollar can, if you're storing dollars in your savings account, trust. You are likely losing money. You are losing money if that's all you're doing. If you're not investing and finding a way to make your money grow. The value of that money is diminishing substantially because of inflationary pressures. That's just the nature of money overall. If you're storing, you're losing. Whereas Bitcoin, because it's finite, it's always going up. So you can actually increase the value of your money. I got 4 views, look at that. I'll take it. Alright, so let's think. So we see we're right on top of where we need to be. What is our best objective to get to where we need to go? We tried that before. We've been in here. Oh my gosh. There's the shrine! I shouldn't play this game after work when I'm exhausted. It's a bad idea. We found it. Thank you. All good things in the universe. Thank you, Jesus Christ. Crazy. All that effort. I hope watching this happen and the discussion about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency was helpful, because that's all we were doing. Okay, so they just want us to use the ability to rewind. They just want us to use our powers, which is recall in this game. Recall stops time when you use it. Seriously? So let me jump back up there. That's nice. So we have to start this all over again. We made it! Yay! So I've heard people say to me, alright, well, the concept sounds very reasonable, but, you know, how do we know this isn't just a scam or isn't some big bubble? That was the case with everything. Think about Amazon. Like, I would challenge people to take a look at Amazon in the early days. Everyone thought it was going to be a bust. If you bought Amazon stock, a substantial portion of it, in the early days, you made a lot of money. Chances are you're a multi-millionaire if you bought a lot of it. Wild ride. This is kind of tricky. Needed to do what it's gonna do. This is confusing because I kind of know what it wants me to do, but let's try that. I don't need anything. I just want to be done. So we can go down, for me, back to the main level, and for all of you, down to the main level. 42 minutes, 7 seconds. Close, close, close. But yeah, we were talking about whether or not it's a bubble. I mean, you know, anything that's speculative, look at Amazon. You know, you tell me. Everything that has made a substantial amount of wealth for someone investing has had also a tremendous amount of risk. I mean, there's no way around that. Everything that's going to make you a lot of money has a very high risk to reward ratio. That's just the nature of it. Before all of this craziness about debt and inflation and all of our, you know, wrongly applied modern monetary policy, you could, you know, invest in government bonds and know that you would be just fine. Maybe not anymore, probably still though. But you'd make, you know, a tiny little amount over the course of time. Because we don't default, so our treasury bonds are great. Theoretically. So we're going to fast travel back to the area and work our way over. Little risk, little reward. And to me, at this point, over the course of 10 years, looking at the trajectory of Bitcoin and seeing the incredible use case it's already deployed despite the high fees, you know, it's really hard to make an argument that it's not going to be a very substantial part of our future. I mean, it's just, to me, it's just kind of obvious. It's coming. Decentralized money is coming, and if decentralized money is coming, then likely that decentralized money will start with the original, which has proven itself to be reliable, albeit expensive to some degree, but again, people are using it as currency currently. And I think that's just going to happen more and more. So I think Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is Ethereum is a more useful tool. A lot of things can be built on that quote-unquote layer 1. And, you know, you can have games. I believe Axie Infinity is built on Ethereum. I'm pretty sure it is. And you can, you know, have play to earn, which I think is what the future is here. And a variety of other use cases that are somewhat obvious and others that are not quite as obvious. Let's use Ultra Hand. Ascend, I mean, I call every special feature Ultra Hand. They're all Ultra Hand. It's like I had a babysitter from when I was a kid. From, I want to say, like, Atlanta, maybe? I don't know. She was from somewhere in the South. And everything to her was, like, a Coke. So she would say, like, what kind of Coke do you want? Not what kind of pop or what kind of soda do you want, but what kind of Coke do you want? Because everything is Coke. Like, do you want some Kleenex when it's really just tissue? That kind of thing. The brand name becomes synonymous with the actual item. 46 minutes? Hey, that's close. Because we're about to get down. Strange how that happened so fast. That's me making the noise that I think you're hearing currently. Now in the last game, I chose stamina. I chose to build up my stamina before heart containers, but you need the heart container to be able to get out and move on in the game, so you don't have a choice. And actually, because the bad guys are more formidable once you get to the land, the main level, you sort of do need the extra heart anyway, which is probably why they make you do that. Because they could have made you just choose one or the other, and that would have been good enough, I suppose. Here we go, moment of truth. Voila. Voila. I'm feeling a little shaking in the controller, which is a nice touch, which obviously you all know about, but I'm just letting you know. Now there's going to be this magical moment with Raru where we have an exchange.
I see you have managed to open the door.
I'm hoping you guys can hear it.
You haven't fully recovered yet.
To see what
That
we're
is
seeing.
to be expected.
Looks like
We're
switch
almost
capture is working, so hopefully you can hear.
By visiting the shrines and receiving their blessings, you have mitigated some of the corruption's effects. Though our time together has been brief.
You make up your own mind about Bitcoin, but I think the idea, I think the question is less so, and when people say, well, what about Bitcoin? You know, look at the bubble it's created. It's been very volatile. It hasn't been that more volatile than really any substantial tech stock.
I've done everything I can.
Don't buy into the narrative. Just look at the data. The data doesn't lie. It's
you.
about as volatile as very well-performing tech stocks, like Amazon is the example. And again, the risk-reward ratio is important to evaluate when you're deciding about investing in anything, really. You have to decide what your tolerance is. I mean, if you feel like you don't have the tolerance to lose a lot of money, maybe Bitcoin's not for you. But if you look at Bitcoin's performance in comparison to, like, say, Tesla, it's done really well, and it hasn't fluctuated nearly as much as, again, the narrative would suggest. It's just what people kind of feel or think because they're listening to CNBC and not really paying attention to what the numbers show. So it needs a send. It took me a while to figure this out the first time. I'm like, how do I get across here? And it's just use your newfound powers. Okay. And I think the other thing is, like, there's no need to get caught up in the question of Bitcoin. Think generally about the question of blockchain and whether blockchain technology, if it's not going to be Bitcoin that's the dominant force, which I think it will be because, again, it's purely decentralized and, you know, is not subject to inflationary pressures because you can't create more of it. It has a finite amount, a fixed amount, so you can have confidence in the value of where you're storing your value, which, again, every fiat currency is really just an agreement between us and the government that, like, this thing has some kind of value. So if it's not going to be Bitcoin, maybe it's Ethereum, or maybe it's some other kind of blockchain product or some iteration thereof. But I think we all know that banks are not necessarily where we want our money, and also that, you know, fiat currency is always depreciating. So to deal with both the need to eliminate third party when there's really no need for it, when you can have a fully trustless system, and that trustless in that you don't need to try to trust because everything is there. There's no need to invest in trusting an entity. That'll reduce costs. Like, there's some version of this concept that I think society overall is going to adopt. It may not be necessarily Bitcoin, but it's probably going to be something very similar to it. And I still think Bitcoin is probably the answer. So don't get caught up in Bitcoin and the narrative surrounding Bitcoin. Focus on the idea and the technology. And can you trust banks? I just saw we have one that's really, and the other bank, which is escaping me right now. Look at this. I love the dragons in this game. They're so cool. We're getting down there, buddy. Look at this. In 53 minutes and 20 seconds, we didn't even have an executive producer, director, Link. TD, all the stuff. Like, Link, come to me.
Link,
you must find me.
You must find me.
It's a great game. Okay, to the Kingdom of Hyrule. I promised it was going to happen. Asking you shall receive. So, to me, I think we're just going to jump. Just try to aim for some water. Why not? If you want to accelerate, press R. There we go. Which body of water should we choose? This is lovely. We made it! So this is allegedly pretty much the same map as Breath of the Wild. It has similarities, but obviously it's changed somewhat. And honestly, conceptually, I'm still a little confused because I wasn't as invested in that first story, because I thought the dungeon walking kind of lasted too long. I think I probably would have paid closer attention to what's happened to Hyrule if we weren't having to talk to Zelda walking at a snail's pace down into the dungeon at the beginning of the game. That's a criticism, but, you know, I do wonder why they chose that when they could have probably gotten to the point a lot faster. Here we are, Hyrule Kingdom, that's what I promised you. I was thinking about doing a little bit of gameplay, maybe we'll find one guy to defeat. So how do you get back up there? Well, we're going to find out about that. Let's look at all those. I think they're called archipelagos. Oh, I'm not calling them the wrong thing. So here's our traditional bad guys again. Let's see if we can defeat this dude. Yeah, I mean, they are formidable down here, I tell ya. They really are. So, we took his weapon. Let's go get his stuff. They've got different parts that you're going to get. The horn looks a little different to make things in this world different. There are pieces that fall from the sky. I'm just going to say it. Pieces that fall from the sky, and you can ride them back up using one of your special features, which you probably figured out. And that's how you get back. So, we're supposed to follow this. I think for the first time I got down here, I was looking around, but we're about where I stopped. I did a little bit more, but now you're getting, like, fresh reaction, for the most part, to the new game. And there's a lot. My husband's been playing pretty much non-stop. Okay, I think it is time. We're almost approaching an hour. I'm going to keep this under an hour. Let's get a little Hyrule herb to take us back to Breath of the Wild visions. And that Hylian shroom. This is a beautiful game. It really is. I'm so glad that I got a chance to play it. Imagine how cool this would be if you could do it in virtual reality, like in 3D. I was telling my husband, as we both need to do way more cardio and weights and really just anything that's movement, I said, if there were a game that I could do in virtual reality that was fun, I mean, we'd do great. We'd do really great all the time. Did I get him? Let's try. Sorry, guy. I feel bad. But a girl's gotta eat. In this case, an effeminate guy's gotta eat. This is interesting. That clearly looks like a Korok seed. How do I free it? Ha! There you go. Okay. I don't remember that from the last game, if that was a feature. Okay. So we're gonna pick up from this place the next time, which hopefully will be sometime tomorrow at a reasonable hour. Alright, so as I have said, I think, I'm not a gamer, I'm just someone who has played The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild a lot, and beaten the game in Master Mode and the Trial of the Sword in Master Mode, and I really enjoyed that game. That was my introduction to gaming, and I'm going to continue this. I'm so happy we got through part 3, talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency generally, my main point, and I'm going to do this at the end now of all of these, because really I'm just having fun talking about some topic while I play this game. I hope this is interesting and useful to people out there. And if it's not, it's useful and interesting to me. But the thing I would say about Bitcoin is do your own research. Don't buy into the hype. Look at the way Bitcoin and certain cryptocurrencies have performed against traditional financial products. If you look at just, again, the premier cryptocurrency, which again is Bitcoin, and to a lesser degree Ethereum, they have outperformed all tech stocks really for a while now, over the last 6 months. And I picked up Bitcoin when it was around just under 17,000. I picked it up previously, but in this last round when it took a dip around 17,000, and now we're still. I unloaded a little bit of it, when it reached kind of a local top of close to 29, and I'm holding on to the majority of it, and I'm up 58-59%. So, and I think less so the money making capabilities and possibilities should be the focus. I think the primary focus of Bitcoin is the freedom it gives us to have custody over our own store of value, over our own money. And especially for those who are unbanked and who are not a part of the traditional financial system, it's a way to transfer money directly to somebody else without a middleman, without a third party, without PayPal, without a bank, without MoneyGram or Western Union or anything else. And even they are kind of stepping into the space because they realize that it is a little bit techy and complicated, so some people can't pull it off themselves, and therefore they can kind of facilitate it with maybe reduced fees. So I'm not saying that I want to get rid of the third parties totally, but I think the concept, the idea, as we try to tweak it and make it a little more user friendly, just makes a lot of sense. And I think the fundamental thing for me is the notion of not just the custody element, but the fact that our fiat currency isn't our own, especially if you're a working person. If you work 9 to 5 and you're not making a substantial amount, even if you're making within the realm of an upper middle class person, the value of your dollars are being decreased just by sitting in your bank account as a result of inflation. And there's nothing you can really do about that because, again, we are no longer tied to the gold standard here in this country. Our money is backed by the government. It is a fiat currency, and that the only way we can have any security about the value of our currency is because the government says it has value. And the more money we print, the less value your money has. If you understand the basic concept of supply and demand, this is only going in one direction. So when you try to find a place to invest your money to grow it, or even just keep it the same value, I think there are a lot of people who will look to something that doesn't seem to be as manipulated. Although, as people say, there are whale games, and people who hold a lot of Bitcoin or hold a lot of cryptocurrency, that they too are manipulating the system, and I don't deny that. But again, any circumstance in which you have people who can hold sway and look after their own interests, newsflash, they're going to look after their own interests. Just part of the way humans are. What you want to do is mitigate the degree to which they can have control over the systems that all of us depend on. And I think that's doable through the concept of blockchain. So immutable ledgers, look into it. NFTs are really interesting, not necessarily to get rich, but just to have a digital copy of something that may be very beautiful. And I just think there's a lot of promise in this space. And I think gaming, which clearly I'm into to some degree, is one area in which we could see a tremendous amount of growth. Why play this game and pay for it when you could play to earn money? And there are a lot of games being developed as we speak, doing exactly that. And a lot of people right now making all of their money by playing video games like Axie Infinity on blockchain now. So we'll pick this back up. I'm not going to commit to the topic I'll be talking about, but I might continue on in the cryptocurrency Bitcoin space and talk a little bit about Sam Bankman-Fried, the collapse of FTX, and why that's not the same thing as Bitcoin. But I may not. I may switch to something else. We'll see. I may return to it. It's free flowing, which is what I love. So thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it, all 4 of you. I still love you, even if you're few and far between. And hopefully, as this goes on, we'll be able to grow the audience. But until then, have an awesome evening or morning or whatever this